So the Magen Avram points this out. The Magen Avram says this halacha doesn't apply today, because in the old days the shliach tzibur would actually be moitzi the tzibur.
Right.
But today the shliach tzibur is not moitzi the tzibur. Today the shliach tzibur is just doing chazaras hashatz, but everybody's yetzi themselves. So who cares? He's not moitzi everyone. It doesn't matter. He's just leading the prayer. He has a nice voice. He's just leading everyone to say, all the extra yotzvus and everything.
Then why do you need such a chashuv person?
So why are you such a chashuv person? Yeah. So the Magen Avram says that it's not so relevant today to halacha, and even if there's someone that the guy doesn't like, he still let it go up. Now, nonetheless, it goes basar roiv, he says. If roiv the kahal is merutza from the guy, the majority will. If the majority likes the guy, then he could go up, even if the minority is not so pleased with him. But nonetheless, the Kaf HaChaim argues, and the Kaf HaChaim says that no, that even today the shliach tzibur, the chazaras hashatz is look in the kavanas Arizal, you see that the shliach tzibur does wonders upstairs beyond what the regular Shmoyne Esrei does. And if he has a disagreement with someone, he's not being moitzi that guy. And if he's not being moitzi that guy, the whole tzibur loses out. So he says it doesn't work. If you have a guy that doesn't want, it breaks the tefillah. Halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa. So if a person has a good taina, he should take it up with the gabbai or the rav.
You shouldn't go into yontif that way anyway, right?
What?
You shouldn't go into yontif that way anyway.
Shouldn't go into yontif that way anyways, but unfortunately, not everybody thinks like that. And if there is a disagreement of some sort, it should be sorted out beforehand, because it's an issue. If the Baal is going up, and there's not mitzvah tzibur. For sure, the guy's not allowed to go up if the tzibur doesn't want. Tzibur doesn't want, he's not allowed to go up. And even if he wants, it should be mitzvah on everyone. But if you can't work it out, then you could go after Rav. Now, this is all for the shliach tzibur that's going up. But let's say you have the Baltakeya. Baltakeya is actually being moitzi the tzibur. So the Baltakeya being moitzi the tzibur could be, if he has in mind not to be moitzi one guy, because he doesn't like the guy, then the whole tzibur loses out.
Then you blew it.
Nobody's yoitz. You blew it.
This would be a great time to ask for money for the kola at this point to shoot a Baltakeya.
But you see, there's actually the Chuvas Chavas Yar, very interesting tshuva. That today maybe in most places because they have it's relevant also, we'll see in a moment. But they had these small towns that they would have to hire a guy to come in. A guy would come in. They had aniyim. They were very poor people, and not everybody wanted to chip in to pay for the Baltakeya. Not everybody wanted to chip in. So what happened? So you had some guy said we're going to chip in and pay. And some guy said that we're not, we can't afford it, we're not paying in. So the guys that said we're going to chip in and pay said, fine, we're going to pay for Baltakeya, but we're telling him that he's not being moitzi the guys that aren't paying. Yeah? No membership, you're not yoitzi with the tefillah. No ticket, you're going to keep. There's a good way of doing it. So, against Shaila, what happens? So the Chavas Yor says they're correct. That it costs money to bring the guy in. They don't want to chip in. Maybe they're not mechuyev to chip in because they can't afford it. They don't have to. But we don't have to pay for you. We're paying for ourselves. So therefore, they could tell the guy that you only might see these people. So maybe it depends if there's roiv or not. But I'll upon them, you only might see these people, and those people that don't want to chip in, you're not being mighty, and it works. That's what he says. Why? Because that's part of the Takonos HaTzibur. You want to be able to bring a guy in, and these guys don't want to pay, these guys do want to pay, so everybody loses out. So you make such a rule that whoever pays is Yaitza, whoever doesn't pay is not Yaitza, and if you want to be Yaitza, you'll chip in. That's what the Chavas Yor says.
So Yom Kippur's coming up anyway, so it's like...
So that's it. So that's what Chavas Yor says. Now, others have used this tshuva for other areas. There were Kehilos that decided that there were women coming not dressed properly. This happens to Jews. The women's are coming not dressed properly, so they made a takana that whoever comes not dressed to decorum is not yotzei at Kiyah Shofar. He might as well not come.
To stop them from coming.
So, in other words, if the kahal wants to make a takana, whatever it is, and it's a valid takana, by the rabbanim and the sea, whatever it is, then they could do such a thing that the nechsas of tzibur won't be yotzei at Kiyah. You're not going to have in mind to be motzei them. But just for our own petty reasons, you can't do that. And if you have in mind not to be yotzei one guy, nobody's yotzei. That's the halacha in Shulchan Aruch. But if there's a takana involved, then it could be done. Nonetheless, the Shat Jul over here argues on the Chavas Yair. Shat Jul got down over here. He argues on the Chavas Yair and he says that they have no right not to be motzei the other fellows. And he says the reason is, he says like this. He says it could be if the Baal Tekeya has in mind not to be yotzei the other guys, they're not yotzei, because you have to have in mind to be motzei the guy. But the king doesn't care. He's hired to come, he's blown. But the tzibur is making a tanai with him. They're making condition. We're hiring you to blow and condition you not motzei this group of people. You do whatever you want, you just blow. So since he's being motzei everyone, avada the yotzei. Avada the yotzei, and the rest of the tzibur can't be ma'akev them from being yotzei. And that's how he comes out of halacha. As long as he's blowing and he has in mind to be motzei, people and they're listening. What do I care what the rabbi said that he shouldn't be motzei them? Too late. He's being motzei them.
I don't know the details, but weren't, like in New York there were non-shomer Shabbos, chazan.
That's something else. It's a different issue. But here where you have a guy who could be motzei, he's being motzei them. And then the question is if they can make a takana that part of the people aren't yotzei. So obviously it's not so negated to small towns, but it is relevant membership. You say a guy's not there's takana, costs money. I don't know if membership is included in this, but there's a certain cost to running a minyan, and if these people don't want to pay the ticket, pay the cost. So the question is, could you say they're not being yotzei with the shliach tzibur, the shmar esrei, the tkiyas? You have an easy way to make sure you collect the money for Rosh HaShana. So according to the Chavas Yair, you could actually do that. You could enforce it by saying whoever doesn't pay is not included in the things. According to the Shat Jul, it wouldn't work. It's still yotzei, but according to the Chavas Yair, it's actually an option out there. But again, there has to be a valid reason for putting forth such a claim. There was a cost. There was a cost to put together a davening, and the people don't want to pay in, and they just want to come join. That's not valid. But upon what we do see from here is that to daven b'tzibur, there has to be mu'utz. It has to be someone that's accepted on the people. If it's not accepted, there's a real issue in the tefillah. There's something going on between the Baal Tefillah and the Kahal. It's best he shouldn't daven. Obviously, the Makam Machlokes, a Shiloh should be asked, but the best thing is not to have Machlokes, especially in this time. The Arizal says, I will say this over there, Arizal says that it's brought down, it's at Tefillah in the beginning, in the city over there, that it's not considered a minyan. Before he would daven, he would look around to see there's 10 people. Got to find 10 people that you're friendly with, because a tzibur is not just 10 individuals standing there. A tzibur is 10 people that are connected. So you have to have lech kamoich. He says, huh?
10 people you don't.
That's easier.
That's easier. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't like them for the same reason.
So the connection of the tzibur that it becomes one tefillah is because there's achva and reis together. A person should try to daven in a place where he feels the warmth, the achva and reis. There should be a tzibur together, and that makes a minyan. That makes a tzibur. But if there's just individuals, they may be standing in the same room, but it doesn't have the same power of tefillah, of a minyan. That's why.
I need to speak. Really, I think just the opposite. The word tzibur is Rashi Tavis, Sadiqim Beinanim Rishon. So the whole idea of a tzibur is you do include
that.
Everyone.
But including means there's an ava together. Including doesn't mean, all right, I'll let you come in. Including means that they're including him as part of the tzibur. guy has to be part. That's why it says, right, that's the whole thing, that it's a min is really 100. If a person comes at first, he's not to schar kul of 100 people, because each person is times 10. So the term is very right. Each person, when you have a team of 10 people, so since you have to lech to another 9 people, so each person is made up of 10 people. So it's 10 times 10. It's not
100 because you need 100 to find 10 that you like amongst.
No. It's as if you have 100 each 10 people. But the person should have everybody. What?
How do we actually apply this lamaisa? Let's say you're in a position where it's the only minion, and there happens to be one person that you're not so friendly with. Like, should you actually not daven?
The person's supposed to work on himself.
But like lamaisa, it happens. It's a Sunday morning. You're at a small shul or you're at a cottage or something. I don't know. Like, how far do we take this? Lamaisa.
That's right. Before Tzkiyas, we call out in the Kail before Tzkiyas. That is based on the result. Everyone should say that the Moichel everyone. Unless there's you have something which you go to Bezdin on, and therefore something which is just old and sitting there, you should be Moichel the guy, because it makes a difference. Moichel, you have to have a tzibah together. So the Chavetz Chaim says, you have a halacha l'maisa. You know a guy that's going into business with someone else, and that someone else is a crook. So you have to tell the guy, you're going to visit a guy that's a crook. You know he's a crook, but the problem is you hate that guy that's a crook. So the Chavetz Chaim says you're not allowed to say lashon hara about him unless you have all the tanoim, all the conditions. And one of the conditions is that you're not out for any personal reasons. It's not because you hate the guy you want to get him. You're only doing it l'shem shamayim. Everybody's on l'shem shamayim, but you're only doing it l'shem shamayim so that this guy shouldn't be burnt. Right? Yeah.
The problem is the reason you
know
the
enemy that's going into business with this guy, you'd be happy, right? So you have to only do the l'shem shamayim that you thing. So the Chavetz Chaim says, so you have a problem here. You have a mitzvah l'samer al dam reyacha. You have to tell the guy, but you're not. It's mamash isur lashon hara. He holds that if you say and you have something against this person that you're saying it against, it's isur lashon hara. So what do I do? So I have one eitzah. You have to get this sin out of your heart, and then you have to tell him. Have a chiyuv. Not easy being a Jew,
The problem is the reason you know he's a crook is because he may have been crooked with you.
He's a crook.
So you hate him, not because he did it to you. So
you're allowed to hate a guy. You're allowed to hate a guy that did an avera. That's the evidence. You're allowed to hate a guy that did an avera. That's what it says. But it's different than hating him personally. Haraya, because if you saw him doing an avera to someone else, you don't hate him as much as if he does an avera to you. So you're allowed to hate him for doing an avera, but you're not allowed to hate him personally. So it's a fine line. But Akapanim, that's Hilchos Yom Kippur. Maybe we'll talk about Erev Yom Kippur. But for Erev Shana, but it's important. Tefillah is important, and the tefillah works much better if there's a ritzah between everyone together. So that's the first shalav. The first shalav is the tefillah that should be someone that's merutza, and people, the tzibah should be merutza together. Now, there's another halacha Erev HaShana. There's a minhag. There's a minhag which is brought down in the Ramah. It's brought down in the Mechaber. Mechaber says, "Noyagim l'sanas Erev HaShana." It's a minhag to fast on Erev HaShana. Now, this is not a halacha as a chiyuv in any which way possible. It's just a minhag based on the medrash that says, when the medrash actually talks about when the tzaddikim fast, so they fast 3 times. You have Rosh HaShana, you have Tzadai, you have Yom Kippur. So Hashem is moichel a third of the averos on each fast. So Rosh HaShana, Hashem is moichel a third of the averos. Just a hot day. What?
Just a hot sauce.
So the Mechaber says noig musanas Erev Rosh HaShana, and someone noig to misana the whole 10 days. And they add on 3 days before this, they make slichas. But he says, you don't have to finish the tanis. So that came the minhag for most people today that do it. Those that do it today only fast until chatzos, because it's hard enough to fast on the regular times. It's hard enough to get by a day on the real times. Forget about tanis that you don't have to do. So those that do it, since it's ein tzarich lahashim, so they do it until chatzos. Some try to do it till after mincha so they can say Haneinu, but some just do it chatzos. But that's called Toli B'Minog. There were those that used to fast. Rama brings us down. Fast on Erev HaShana, so they would get up to eat before Alois HaShachar. Now there was a whole Shail Halacha that they were eating before Alois HaShachar, because the Goyim, on the day of their festivals, so they would actually fast before, and they would get up. They would get up early to eat before the fast. So the Rabbi says some people wouldn't. I'm sorry. The Goyim, they would fast the day before the Tainus. They would fast before also the day before their Chag. So we don't like doing what the Goyim do. So even though we fast Erev Rosh HaShana, so some people would dafka get up early before Alois and eat. So it shouldn't be like the Goyim, which is a whole halacha shayla if you like to eat before davening, before Alois. It's the answer shayla. But
we do that for lots of.
What?
People do that for.
People do that on regular Tainus. They can't make it through the whole Tainus, so they eat before Alois.
Especially for coffee.
Yeah. So Akopada, it's not such an issue today because most people just fast until Chatzos anyway. So, but
if you wanted to wake up before and have coffee before and still not be permitted.
Now, Rizal was very makbid not to eat before Alois, but most people that are fasting are annoying like that at Rizal because they want to be able to eat. Okay. One of the interesting halachas of Erev Rosh HaShana is that there's a halacha mechabsim and mustapim. People take haircuts Erev Rosh HaShana. Take haircuts Erev Rosh HaShana because we have confidence that we're going to be zoicha badin. So even though we don't say halal on Rosh HaShana, the reason is because we're oimid badin, and you're going to say halal, standing in front of the court, and Sifrei Chaim and Sifrei Mesim, Psuchim Ufanav, you have this such a scary day. But yet we go through with the confidence, and with the simcha, we have a chiv to have Suda on Rosh Hashanah because we're very happy that we'll be Yosef Adin, that we're gonna have a good year. So we have this sort of steer. On one hand, we have the fear that who knows what will be, and the other hand, we go through with the confidence. The Briskerov used to say that there are a lot of people that have betachan, but they don't have betachan. They just don't realize that they're going to a din. They're excited. For a person to have betachan, he has to really understand the gravity of the situation. The guy who's in the middle of a war and there are bombs falling all over, and he has betachan, that's a level. But a guy who doesn't realize that he's in a war, he's just walking through as if nothing happened, and then he says he has betachan. So that's not the son of this girl doesn't really say over that you say of a famous marshal from Witzel, which part of it is, so he used to say like this, that they used to, he crossed the border, tried crossing the border with some illegal stuff, So he used to go with the horse and the wagon and the driver and the guy who was crossing with all those illegal things. So the guy who has all the stuff is scared from day one. He knows what's in store for him. The driver is used to it a little bit, so he gets scared when they start getting closer. He says, but the horse, he has no fear, he walks right through. so it depends if you have an awareness of what's going on. But nonetheless, so a guy who mamish is aware and understands it and has betachan, so that's a big level. But that's why we take haircuts, because we have betachan. So a person is supposed to have that feeling that we have, with the bottom of the Rebbe Shalom, when he has one interest is to make us be. Hashem wants us to be Zeicha B'Din and helps us out, and we have to show that confidence.
What's the connection between taking a haircut Erev Rosh Hashanah and bitachon?
Because that's an oval doesn't take a haircut, right? Because he's in mourning. We're not in mourning. A person that's going through a difficult din, he's in mourning. You watch him, But we have the simcha and the confidence.
So is that Daka Erev Rosh Hashanah, or like the whole week before? Or?
No, the Erev Rosh Hashanah. Well, you take it early if you can't get Erev Rosh Hashanah. But I'd say.
I mean, Rabbi, is there an aspect of appearing before the king? So you want to look your best.
That's also true. Yeah, you want to look your best. You're coming to a din. That's also true.
That's for Yosef.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's also a point. Yeah. Okay, one of the things to do at Rosh Hashanah is people go to the mikvah. There's a minute to go to the mikvah. as I open it up over here also. We do Hataras Nedarim. We do Hataras Nedarim every Rosh Hashanah. Now, we really do Hataras Nedarim. We don't do Hataras Nedarim, but we do Kol Nidre before Yom Kippur also. And in Kol Nidre, we make a Tanai that we're not going to any neder that we make throughout the year is null and void.
Yeah, so why doesn't that work?
So really it does work. But the reason why we do it again Rosh Hashanah, or we do it early Rosh Hashanah, is because that's done b'tzibur, and maybe people don't hear it or say along or don't really say it along. So it's not clear that everybody got it. So everybody does their own personal one on every Rosh Hashanah.
Women don't do it.
Women don't do it every Rosh Hashanah either.
But they come to shul.
Every Rosh Hashanah they do it to start. No, you mean no, Kol Nidre. Oh, Kol Nidre, yeah, okay, Kol Nidre, yeah. Now, the concept of Hataras Nedarim, we do every Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot, of course, the Gemara says, Ba'avoy Nedarim, Noshim Mesis, the woman died from Ba'avoy Nedarim. A person's responsible. A person makes promises and doesn't keep it. It's a sakana for his family. So we want to absolve all the Nedarim that a person might have every Rosh Hashanah. But it's also important that a person understands the value of his words. A person's words mean a lot. You spend the whole day Rosh Hashanah davening, so you have to understand your words carry a lot of weight. And obviously, someone who's kept his word always, it says Rabbi Shulman Levi, he was one of the people that went up to Gan Eden alive. Right? He went up. There's a whole story. The mothers took him up to Gan Eden, and he went in there, and they checked out if he ever broke his word, because he said that they can't change what he said. So if a person keeps his word, his words have much more value. So, we're matter in the Nedarim, so our Nedarim should have an effect. But what we're doing by Hataras Nedarim is actually a regular Hataras Nedarim, which is that we're being matter any Nedarim a person might have made throughout the year. And to do that, you have to have two things. One of two things, you have to have charata, which means that I really didn't want to make the neder, and had I realized such and such, I would have never made it. Poiskim the charata. So we say that had I realized that I would be obligated to keep this thing and it would be too difficult to keep, not because something new came up, because it's just I didn't realize that at the time I was making it that it was so difficult, so then I would have never made it. So that's Pesach b'charata, so that's opening that I would have never made a neder, and then the Chacham could be matter it. Okay, then they can be matter that neder. So you get a bezin together and you matter in the Nedarim. And you also matter any hanhaga person makes. If a person does something 3 times, but hanhaga toiva, it becomes like a neder you have to keep. So maybe we never said b'li neder at the time we did it. We never meant to make it a neder. We didn't realize it's turning into a neder. So we have charata that we don't have charata that we did these good things because we want to schar for it, but we have charata on the neder. That's what Hataras Nedarim is. Hataras Nedarim, you can have any 3 people, even if they're related, they can be matter the neder. So you can have any 3 people, even if they're related. It's not like a different kind of bezin. It's like we'll see the bezin of the pruzbul, which is a big machlokes. If you can have 3 people that are related. So if you're doing the pruzbul at the time you're doing Hataras Nedarim, you should make sure to get 3 people that are unrelated, so you have a proper bezin to do your pruzbul.
Why do some people hold you need 10 people?
10 people is to something else. 10 people is to be mater a nidui. If someone is in nidui, Chayrim, so you need 10 people, so you need 10 people to be matter. So what they do is they get 10, it's all shy if you should or shouldn't, but they have 10 people get together, and you say, it was chayavti nidui, if your person is chay nidui in Shamayim, so he's asking hatarim malaschem, 10 people, the Scheiner is there, so it's as if the Scheiner is matter the nidui. But that's something else, that's chayrim.
No, but it says that in the first Nedarim, it says those words.
Yeah, but that means that's a neder, a best, but not a shemayim.
They always said 10 people. But that, I thought maybe for that reason you said.
No, they got 10 people for the b'dei shemayim. That's yeah.
So really, should you have things specifically in mind? I take it you don't have to state them when you go through the text.
Right. If you know something, the best way to be matter and is to actually state it. But the reason why we say this is because there's many things that we don't even know, so we just say everything. But the best thing is to state it. So that's the first half. Oh no. So this is the first half of that Hataras Nedarim is on the past. After you matter your neder, then the next little piece you say is that you're proclaiming that anything you say in the future shouldn't be chav. Now you may ask, if you do that, why do I have to be matir my nedarim? I said everything in the future should be chal. But right, the year before I said it. But the truth is, it's not so simple when that works and how that works. Anyone that did Daf Yomi will know that it depends if I remember that I said it at the time I make it. So if I remember that Erev Rosh Hashanah I said any nedarim that I made should be chal, and I make a neder anyways. So sometimes it could be chal even though I made a disclaimer before. So therefore, as if we're showing them exactly when and when it works, so we do both. We matir and nedarim, and we make a disclaimer for the next year that anything that I say shouldn't be considered as a neder. But if the guy wants to make a neder and he remembers his neder of last year, he can make a neder. It doesn't exclude the possibility of making a neder. So that's a Torah Sedar. And we'll get to Pruzbul later. We'll get to the Pruzbul. But Pruzbul, you're going to need a proper bezin of 3 people. It's machlokes, but that's how we're knowing to get a real bezin. And so if a guy's doing it by the Torah Sedar, we should have a bezin that people are not related. Okay. There's now for women. What about women's Torah Sedarim? So the minhag was that a woman never came to shul to do it. These are sneers. The woman doesn't come to shul to do the Torah Sedarim for the men. But the minhag was over. They never came. If that was the minhag, that was the minhag. They don't have to make themselves crazy. They come. Some of them make their husbands shlichim to do it for them. Okay, there's always new things coming out these days.
How about unmarried daughters?
They never came to shul. They never did it.
Well, what happens to the neder?
If they have a real neder, they should be matir the neder. But if they don't have a real neder, this is just in case there was a neder. But if they have a real neder that they know about, they should be matir it. The shliach or do it themselves, they should be matir the neder. If they don't have a real neder, they never came. But it's not. But many of them make their husbands a shliach, and they have in mind the shaila is a cotton that's a year 12, right? 12 to 13 can make a neder, right?
So dad could be a shliach for a mature daughter, unmarried daughter?
You can make a shliach, yeah.
Well, we don't have to.
We don't have to. They never did it. They never did it in the past. But you could, if a person wants to. Yeah. Okay. Now let's get to Rosh HaShana night. So first, you have usually people don't forget on Rosh HaShana to say all the things ve-chatima and ve-chatima, and especially Melech HaKodesh, because you have the whole ve-chatima pachtach. If you say it from a machzor, usually do. But sometimes it happens. You're saying it by heart, not from a machzor, and you don't say. You go straight to a kel HaKodesh. If you say a kel HaKodesh, you're chayzer. You have to go back. That we all know. But if you skipped the ve-chatima pachtach and you remembered by Baruch Atah Hashem, you could just say Melech HaKodesh, and you don't go back. You don't. It's not ma'akev the ve-chatima pachtach. It's ma'akev is just a Melech HaKodesh. There's a chaynu l'chaim and the ve-chatima is not ma'akev. The person forgot it. It's okay. You could insert it before the end of the bracha. If you can't say it right before the end of the bracha, but before the nemonat. Anyways, you say ve-chatima before. Melech Choizer, anyways say it, but if you forgot it, you can insert it at the end of the bracha and say again Melech Choizer, or say again Tzab Akiv. The tefillas on Rosh HaShana, Hagam, all year, it's whole machlokes, all year, we say Shemot Esrei, we say it quietly. Right? They're not supposed to say it out loud, because like we learn from Chana, you saw her mouth moving, but you didn't hear anything coming out. But on Rosh HaShana, it's actually brought down in Rabban al-Chumash and the Scheiner and others, there was a minhag to say it b'kol ram. People used to say davening louder. And but nonetheless, most people today don't do it. The Mater Ephraim says the Goin was against it. Most people don't do it, and they say quietly the davening, especially since if not everyone's doing it, it's quite disturbing to daven next to a guy who's davening out loud, and you're not davening out loud. So if you want to do this minhag of saying it loud, find yourself a nice room to go in, and you can scream your heart out. But to have it with other people, if everyone's doing it, it's okay. It's like the rest of davening. But if you're the only one doing it, it's quite disturbing to your person next door. But there was such a minhag, and the Indian is brought down to do it.
It's strange of the day when we read of Chana.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there's a minhag Rosh HaShana. There's a minhag, well-known minhag that people do, Simonim, right? To do Simonim at night. So just go through a little bit of that, because I will say over that the Chatzkel Levenstein, the Mashgiach in Ponovich, was a very holy Yid, and but there was no monkey business on his table, even on the Shabbos table. My Rabbi in the yeshiva was his grandson, and so I would say he said by his Shabbos table, if a guy made a joke, he was never invited back. He was Amos Hadin, Amos and the Rebbe Shalom was there by here. Chatzkel was known for that. You walked in his house, and you'd sit there, you shook. Mm-hmm. So on Rosh HaShana, forget about Simonim, but it was too out of line. He didn't have any Simonim on by Rosh HaShana. But nonetheless, it's brought down, even in the Gemara it's brought down, such a minhag, that they have the Simonim, Dvarim Shenoigim Lechel B'lev Rosh HaShana. With Rubya, Karti, and you say, when you eat Rubya, you say Shiyir B'zchu Yasenu, maybe it's carrots, maybe it's other things. Meron, Meron, whatever you call Yiddish, whatever language you use, but it's a siman. So what's the point of this? What's the point of this? Simonim they do. You have Rima and you have Karti. When you eat leek, you say Yikorsu Seinenu, that the enemy should be cut off. Tamri Seinenu, they should end. So the ikar is, the Shloh writes, the ikar of the Simonim is the tefillah. Simonim is just a reminder to have the tefillah, but it's not that it has any powers over here, that you have these things on the table that it's going to make magic. The point is that a person has the opportunity, it reminds him, these things will remind you to say that tefillah. And therefore, again, the Gemara says Simon a milsahi. Simon is a milsa. It means something. Simon is a milsa. It's not superstition, but Simon is something. But the main point he says is that a person should make the tefillah. Therefore, many have the minhag. They say the tefillah, Yirotzim Ufanecha Hashem Elokeinu V'Lekeinu. They even say Hashem's name, saying Hashem's name. It's a real tefillah. Some people say without Hashem's name, but it's a real tefillah. So a person could say with Hashem's name. And it says Sheyizkir Adam Yis'ayir B'Tshuva. You should do tshuva. Yispalo Al Davar Zeh. You should daven for this thing. Now you don't have to make a siman plate for everything. During the meal you have these things. If there's carrots in the meal, there's leek in the soup. You can have it within the meal. It doesn't mean you have to make a special procedure for everything. But nonetheless, it's a tefillah. He brings down the Korel is Mashkasav Pardes B'Shar Agvonim. He brings down that it's quite well known that people used to do an action to be mamshech adin. Right? That's why people wear white clothing on Rosh HaShana. Because white is for kapara savar, and kippur they wear kittel. It's for kapara savar. It's just mamshech the chesed and the rachamim. If a person wears black, that's mamshech din and vurs like avelis. So or wear black suits, kasha. But I say the Ben Ish Chai is well known that he used to He used to wear not black, but a bluish, like a tchelis type of overcoat. 1 year, the person made him black by accident, He sat in Averos the whole year. I think it was Nifter at the end of the year or some person at the end of the year. So it was a simon, there are these things. Like upon him, he says that it's the simon, it's a way of a person's focusing his mind and being mamshach these dinim, these inyanim. That's why the kohanim, their clothing, the big they love and wore Yom Kippur. There was a way of focusing to whatever they had to focus into and bring down these hashpois that were good. So it says the same thing over here. When a person thinks, Yerbus Chiyaseido, so he says, Mamshach, this bracha, so you think, in this power, it could have an effect, but it's not the food that has an effect, it's what's going on in the guy's mind, That's what he says. He says the same thing as with tashlich, by the way. It's not some magic trick. You walk to the river and you throw out your averus, you feed the fish, and the fish eats your averus, and the poor fish. There's a lot of because the Rosa Yakirahu, there's a Russian of the
kaparis with the chicken too.
What?
With the kaparis with the chicken.
Kaparis also, yeah. It's a kaparis. So it's a person does tshuva and it has effect. These are just things that a person does in action that it's mo'ir ha'pnimius, things that you do are mo'ir the leiv and mo'ir the mind. So the pasuk says with tashlim sulsiyam kol chatasam. So we're being mo'ir that Rebbe Shalom should throw away our averus, but it's all a way of doing a tefillah. A person just does the action without the tefillah, he might as well not go. Agav, I like the story, so I said over. So if you heard it from me, bear with me. But I used to know a yid in Miami. You probably know his son, Rabbi Ephraim Shapiro. His father was a Mordechai Shapiro Zatzal, and he was a Talmud from a Baron Kotler. And he was a goyin, and he was a tzaddik nifla. And he used to go in his younger years before, when the Iron Curtain was closed in Russia. He used to go to Russia, and he would smuggle things in and teach people. He actually learned the language of some people in order to teach them his own language. He's a mamash tzaddik. Anyways, so he was out there in Vilna on Rosh HaShana once. He was in Vilna on Rosh HaShana, stuck in the hotel. I heard it said his Levaya. His nephew said it's over at the Levaya. He was in Vilna on Rosh HaShana, stuck there. And those days they were, his apartment was bugged, his room was bugged and everything. He was stuck. He was grounded in the apartment at Rosh Hashanah. So he looks at the window and he sees the river there. I forget the name of the river, but it's the river that flows through. And all of a sudden he has such a spilus. The river that the Vilna Goyin said, Tashachan. And he starts crying and he says, Tashach with such kavanah. Anyways, this was back then before a lot of this forum came out. A few years later he's back in America and he's looking at the Meiser Rav of the Goyin. And the Goyin didn't say Tashach. The Goyin didn't say Tashach. The Goyin wouldn't go to say Tashach. He was so upset, he was pushed in tears, that his emotions weren't aligned with halacha. People get emotional about all kinds of things, but people's emotions have to be in sync with the halacha. But he could be emotional. The Goyin said it, and the Goyin never said it. By him was a no-no. He was such a kind of person that was in complete control of his thing. But anyways, there's different than Hagim and people say Tasha, but that's the.
Why didn't they go and say Tasha?
He didn't hold it. Say it freely, but he didn't go to the river and say Tasha. So anyway, that's it. Now, as far as the halacha part of saying the thing, so Shaz, what brachas you make, gets complicated. So a lot of people have the minhag, most Ashkenazim have the minhag to have an apple, minhag Ashkenazim, to dip it in honey and to say the Yiratzin. That's not brought down in the Gemara. The other ones are brought down in the Gemara. This is not. Nonetheless, it's a minhag. So the minhag goes all the way back. Ashkenazim have this minhag of the tapuach b'dvash, and but the shal is the bracha. So l'chayim ikar adin, one should make a bracha first on the dates. Because they go in the Shiva Saminim in the order which one is closer to the Eretz. So the ones we have in the Shiva Saminim, we have dates, and we have figs sometimes, and you have a rimoin. But the dates are first, so you make a bracha on the dates first. They make a eitz on the dates. Even though you normally don't make a bracha after you wash, but these are not dvarim habarim b'sei chasuda. Something that is barim b'sei chasuda, like the hadama, which you eat, maybe the carrots you do eat, cooked carrots you eat in the suda, so you wouldn't make a bracha on. But something which normally doesn't come within the Suda, the Eitz normally doesn't come within the Suda, so you can make a bracha. Even an apple you would be able to make a bracha, because you normally don't eat an apple in the middle of a Suda, maybe Shal Shudas, but in regular Suda you don't even eat it. dessert is all shaila if you make a bracha on these things. So you will be able to make a bracha, but according to most places, it's better to make a bracha on the dates and then afterwards to have the apple and everything. L'maisa, there are those that say to make a bracha on the apple because chaviv. If you like the apple and honey better, so you have chaviv and you have the shivas amidim, the shaila which one comes first. So some people make on the chaviv, but if it doesn't matter to you, you should make on the dates.
Doesn't the Rima come first in the also?
No, because there's two eretz. It says eretz twice. So Riemann is third or fourth from eretz, and dates are second from eretz. Vash is second from eretz. From the second eretz, it's second. After Zayis. Aleph will be first, but you don't have Aleph. So the person should make a bracha. What? Now some people do that. They leave the shivas aminim in the kitchen, and they make a bracha on the apple because they want to do the apple first, and then they bring in the shivas aminim, which is a shaila in itself. You have to make another bracha on it in the kitchen. Best is just to make the bracha on the shivas amidim, and then you could.
The minhag is usually the apple, and they should place on Rosh HaShana and sukkah.
Yeah.
And it's also recommended to have a shalem to the bracha before you cut it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, if you make a bracha on a shalem before you cut it, they say. Yeah, it's also a mile. If you have a date, usually it's shalem.
Even if you have to dip it, cut it and dip it in honey because it's sorech.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you're correct. That's right. But the tefillah of the Yiratzin, one should say after you take a bite. After you take a bite, because you made a bracha, you shouldn't have a hefsek, so the tefillah you should say after, or you could say before you make the bracha. You could say a tefillah even if you don't eat, if it's on the table, like we said before, just saying it is ma'ir, you could say the tefillah. But as far as the
so most people eat it, you don't
actually, let's say you don't like fish, you don't like thing. So you could say the tefillah just by saying it, it's there, it's on the table, yeah. You could say. That's the what's the thing? So those are simonim. There are some people that because of the bracha they want to make it. They make the bracha before Hamoitzi. They do the simonim before Hamoitzi. The bracha you run into bracha a shaila bracha achroina though. If you eat a whole date, you eat a berya, or you eat a shear, you have a whole problem with shaila bracha achroina before Hamoitzi. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. It's better to make the Hamoitzi. And you make the bracha on the eighth you can make.
It's an appetizer before you wash?
What?
Can't you have a mind it's an appetizer before you wash?
Yeah, but the shah is you make a bracha achroina, not just the shah. It's all shah in the place can you make a bracha achroina.
What?
It's not
Why
bob,
would you
chasud.
make a bracha achroina after Kiddush before you wash?
Why would you or wouldn't
Why
you?
wouldn't you? That would be the same thing.
Because you're eating right afterwards and you get a bench, so maybe the benching goes back on that. So it's a shayla. It's a shayla if you can make a bracha achroina afterwards. Especially it's not clear if you ate a whole share if you ate yeah. Some people have the minhag not to eat,
Is it nuts?
What?
Is it nuts?
Oh, so first of all, nuts. Some people learn not to eat nuts. Egger is nuts, ve-chet, and also it's marber kecha v'neir. It's marber the saliva when you daven because that's what brings down.
Also toe.
What? Same matir. Egger is. Chet is more. Yes, same.
So no nuts?
So what?
You say no nuts?
They say nuts. Egg rice is
Almond?
different kinds of nuts. And so people don't eat that. And also people don't eat things that are, sour.
Bitter.
Chamutz and bitter. So a guy asked me, he likes to have the fish, that has things in there. Rabbi very Feinstein used to say, if you like it, eat it. The right thing is that it's, it should be Arv on the guy. But, people stay away. But it's all similar. It shouldn't be Ma'ir in you, these things. These are not necessarily, halacha. Yeah.
If a guest brings a nut platter.
Yeah, you shouldn't embarrass him, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick up what you know.
Okay, that's as far as the Sudas go. We'll go into a little bit prosbul here. I should just mention. Okay, I'll just mention this before we go to prosbul. Just mention as far as the tkiyas on Rosh HaShana, obviously the mitzvah Hayom is the blow the shofar. That's the mitzvah of the day. Davening is also mitzvah Hayom. Blowing shofar is a mitzvah Hayom. But a person has to have in mind to be yotzer the mitzvah, obviously, and the guy long has in mind to be motziyim. But it's one of the mitzvahs, and Noshim aren't mechuyev in this mitzvah. Noshim is magvam, but nonetheless they come. Most of them try to be yotzer this mitzvah anyways, and they're makabel on themselves a little bit, so they should go in here. But by men it's a chiyuv. Now, like any other chiyuv, before a person does a chiyuv, especially by shofar, we're makbid on this. But any chiyuv, same thing, lulav or any chiyuv, you're not supposed to eat before you do a mitzvah. So they were always very makbid not to eat before tkiyas, to the extent that Rabbi Kivega has a whole tshuva. They had this disease going around back then. People were dying right and left. Cholera, whatever it was called. Cholera, yeah, whatever. People and they had to be healthy and strong, and they had to eat before they had to eat. So he made a whole thing that they should first do the tkiyas to miyusha, do the first tkiyas. They chas v'sholom shouldn't eat before the tkiyas, and then they should eat after the first tkiyas, even though it's a hefsek between the two tkiyas and the brachos. It's better than eating before. That's what he held, and there's a lot written on it. Nonetheless, Baron Kotler was very knowing in the yeshivas to eat before tkiyas. To eat before tkiyas because davening went so long till 4 o'clock. Davening in yeshiva and likely to go till 4 o'clock minimum, sometimes 4:30. And the people couldn't hold out.
You're not supposed to fast on Rosh HaShana.
Yeah, you can't fast. So it was too much. It was too much. So therefore, he made that they should eat before tkiyas. And Rav Henkin was well known. Was one of his big mechamis that they shouldn't eat before tkiyas. So nonetheless, avada, if a person's getting home in proper time, there's no reason to eat before tkiyas. If an elderly person, somebody's kayak, they can have a coffee or tea. Before.
Lots of places have kiddush before shofar service.
Yeah. So
they tell us don't eat it too much.
Yeah. So the minhag yeshiva is supposed to have, because davening is longer. It was longer to give out to Baron made. So that was the minhag in yeshiva. So they taka have a small kiddush. But the person, even if a guy's eating, you shouldn't eat more than a kabeya. Because once you eat a kabeya, you can make ala michya on more than kasai. So you should eat up to a kabeya. But once a person eats a kabeya of bread, or cake, you would make a leisha basukah on it, right? If you're eating in the sukkah, you make a leisha basukah, so that's already a kviyas meal, and the person can't have a meal before. You want to have a snack before, it's not the end of the world. So a person should try not to eat. So there are some shittas that, if you're not eating bread, you could eat a kabeya, you could eat cake or more. That's why Kiddush Korban has before Musaf, they eat more than a kabeya. But Akabadim for Rosh HaShana, which is a person should try to eat, limited. It's not a small Indian, it's a big Indian. The Paiskim are very machmer on this, so Agam will make it because we don't have koyach anymore. Who has koyach to stand through a whole davening like that?
It would be a reason to eat because if people rush out of their home to go to davening, they'll end up fasting past half the day, and you're not allowed to go past half the day.
Take a drink of water in the morning, big deal. Take a drink of water.
Not everyone has that.
Not everyone has water.
You can take a drink, you can take something. It's not, there's ways to get out of that, fasting past chatzos. It's not such a Shabbos, and more makbid on that than on Rosh HaShana. I mean, halacha you allowed to fast on Rosh HaShana. Either kulu l'Hashem, kulu l'chem.
After you have kiddush, you could drink water during Musaf, or?
After you have kiddush, you could drink, After you have kiddush, you could drink. And if a person really needs it, he could drink without the kiddush. If a person's shvach, a week, he could drink without the kiddush.
You can drink during Chazaras HaShas.
Yeah. Okay, just to get into Pruzbul, it's getting late. We have some Pruzbulim here if someone wants to take and fill out from the Vada Rabbanim they put out here. Let's go quickly to the halachas. We'll share this, but just to back up track a little. So as we all know, a person has a loan. So this refers to loans only. There are many types of ways people could owe you money. Through business transactions, through other ways. That doesn't go off by Shemitah. The only thing that goes off by Shemitah is strictly a loan. So let's say you did a business deal with someone and he owes you money from that. That's not a loan. He owes you the money. So that doesn't go off from Shemitah anyway.
That you can collect.
You can collect it and everything. It's only if you afterwards, let's say he owed you the money and he said that, okay, look, you owe me the money, let's write a shtar chayv on it, and make it, you'll pay me up over a certain amount of time, then you can maybe transfer it into a loan. But without that, it's not considered a loan. The only thing that Shemitah is Mashamet is what we consider a loan. So, but a loan, nonetheless, Shemitah is Mashamet. There's a whole shaila if you make a heteriska. If you make a heteriska, it's not really a loan. That's already a business deal. The Shemitah Mashamet, the guy thinks it's a loan. He doesn't even know what he's signing over there on the paper. But it could be it's not Mashamet. It's a shaila. It's a shaila of the Poiskin.
What if you have a gemach?
The gemach is a loan. It's a loan. It's a regular loan. You should make a principle. So what happened was that people would start, Hagam the Torah says, there's a lot in the Torah that if someone asks you to borrow money, and you say, this guy's not going to pay me back before Shemitah, I'm afraid he's not going to pay me back before Shemitah, it's a lot in the Torah not to lend the money. The Torah says, lend the money, don't worry about it. But nonetheless, the price can say that if there's a real chashash in this guy that he doesn't want to pay back and he's going to push it off till after Shemitah, or he has no money whatsoever and there's no way he's going to pay back for Shemitah, could be it's not included in this law. You don't have to throw your money out, but a regular guy who's supposed to pay back, and you're just worried.
No, but the guy that's filling out the principal is the guy that's borrowing the money.
Yeah, what's that? We got to the principal. It's for the principal. The Torah says that if you lend money, the Shemitah takes it off. So there's a law not to lend money because you're worried that Shemitah is going to take it off. Or if someone wants you to lend money, he'll take care of you. But nonetheless, Hill saw that people stopped lending money because of Shemitah. People weren't lending. And it was hard to get a loan. So as a takana, he made this principle. And once it's takana, someone actually hold that it's actually a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to make a principle. So everybody should go ahead and make a principle. So they made a takana make a principle that sort of debunks the system of we'll explain in a minute that it shouldn't that Shemitah won't be mashamat this loan. Now. There are some that are noyeg to specifically because they made a principle after they write the principle only works for loans that exist previous to the principle. So some people had a minute they wrote a principle, then they lent someone $1, after the principle, so the principle doesn't work on that. And then the guy says, "Can I pay you back the $1?" He says, "No, Mashamet Anilach, it's in the midst of Shemitah, you don't want to do the mitzvah Shemitah is.
It's only $1.
You could do it more if you want. The mitzvah Shemitah is that the guy comes to pay. The guy should come, even though this loan is Mashamet. It's there. I want to pay you back, and the guy should say Mashamet Anilach, Mashamet. And then if the fellow wants, you could say Afal Pikain, I still want to pay back, and then you're allowed to accept it. But that's the give and take. That's how that works is beyond the scope of the discussion now. If there really is a chayv, there's no chayv. It's just I don't understand the lumdus here. It's very interesting, but we'll leave that. But the point is that they made a principle. Now there's two concepts of a principle in the Scheiner. One is something which we call Moiseh Shtarois of Bezdin. If you give over all your chayvus to Bezdin, then Bezdin is allowed to collect it. But according to most of Scheiner, that's not what we're doing by a principle. Principle is just a takana. That they allow you, Chazal allows you to Hiyosh Shemitah Bezman as the Rabbanon. Shemitah is Midrabanan today. So since it's the Rabbanon, so they made a takana that sort of uproots this Rabbanon. That if you do a principle, that doesn't allows you to go and collect the chayv. Basically, that's how it works. And as we mentioned, actually, it used to be people would collect the chayvs without a principle. The Rambam brings this down. That he wrote in Tshuva that nobody wrote principles in Spain. He came to Spain, he saw nobody wrote principles. Everybody just collected the loans. And a lot of the poskim are miyash of the minhag. Why? Maybe principle, maybe Shemitah is not negay b'zman hazeh, because maybe we're not living in Eretz Yisrael, which today we are living in Eretz Yisrael, lots of Korea doesn't apply. But they went through different reasons in halacha.
People generally, rather than you personally.
Yeah. It's not negating the whole halakha Shemitah, and you don't have to write a principle. So there is such a basis in halacha. As an afkamina is, if a guy didn't write a principle, whether maybe you still owe him the money, because there is strong shitas in halacha that Shemitah is not noyig in the gay principle today. But nonetheless, be'ikra din, we hold that Shemitah is chal, and therefore one should write a principle. The principle, there's a big machlokes here, and I saw a lot of people are makbid on this, that principle should be written it should be written in front of a proper Bezdin, the Bezdin Choshev. You see, it says like this, that the Talmidei Chachamim that lend each other, they don't even have to write a principle. They could just say, Basrani Lochem Shekol Chayv. Since they know that Shemitah B'zman Hazeh Rabbanan, they know the halachas, so they don't even have to write a principle. They could just tell the Talmidim that I'm giving over my Chayv and finish the Yaitzah. That's what the Mechaber says. But everybody else should write a principle. Ramah says, Yei Shaimim, that everybody could get away with the shtick, just telling other people, I'm Moiseh Shturas Lebezdin. And that's why last year before Shemitah, which was a Shiloh, some Rishonim hold that the Chayv was earlier to Rosh, so people did the shtick. It was just a chumrah, so they just did the shtick. I give it over. But this year before Shemitah, the proper thing is to write a principle. I know in Chabad they don't. They do this also. But they rely on this Ramah. They don't know they rely on it. They think they rely on Shulchan Aruch Harab, but it's Ramah. It's Ramah that says that you could do that. But the Lamaisa, we make a principle today, but it's a machlokes if it has to be who you have to do it, who you do it in front of. So some hold it has to be in front of a Bezdin Choshev, a proper Bezdin, which means you'd have to go to the Bezdin of the city, Rabbi Sheikhet and whoever, and give it over to him and do the principle in front of him. Obviously that's quite difficult to do, because they're not interested in having a lineup on their door. Rosh HaShana do principles. So most people are saimech on just getting any 3 people on a Bezdin. It could be you could even just have 2 Eidim and do it in front of 2 Eidim b'shas l'tchak, but most people just get 3 people together and you write a Bezdin. And in the principle it says that any shtoros, any chayvus that you have, the Bezdin is allowing you. It's actually written in the language of Bezdin. It doesn't have to. That's how it's written in the language of Bezdin. That Bezdin is saying that this person came in front of me, in front of us, and when we told him that any chayvus that he has, he's allowed to collect. K'fi takonos chazal. That's basically what a principle is. And a principle only works if the guy you lent money to has land. So if the guy doesn't have land, the principle wouldn't work. Now, we stretch this halach of having land to, could be if he rents, it's considered having land, or any other way of possibly having land, it could be considered has land. But nonetheless, if you know that there's someone that you lent money to, a single guy, maybe he doesn't have land, he's living by his parents, maybe he's no thing, then you should really be makna to him a mashu of karka. You pick up you go to someone, pick up his pen, and say, the kingdom of Suda, you makna to that person, you mezaka to that person, to be zoicha for this guy, zocham adam shalai b'fanav, so you makna that person a mashu of karka in your house. Okay? And then the principle will work. If you don't do that, you have a shiloh. What do you do with the principle? Actually, in the principle that we have here from the Vada Rabbam, they put in a statement in there that the guy was moed in front of Bezdin. In other words, the Malva was moed in front of Bezdin, that he gave over a mashu of karka to anyone who might not have karka. So that's a kinyan adisa. Also a shiloh if that works. I know most principles don't have it in there, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter, but it's in there. But the point is that the principle could only work if the guy who you lent money to has karka, and I have a shibud karka, so I could collect. So if he has a mashu of karka, then the principle works. If he doesn't have, then the principle is invalid. So that's just an important fact to know. So there are some Rishonim that said you can rely on that, but halach l'maisa we don't rely on that. First of all, it says every Jew will have, but not every Jew necessarily has now karka in Eretz Yisrael, right? B, it's not in his control, it's not in his hands. Where is it? So we don't rely on that. It's brought out of the Rishonim, such a thing, but we don't.
It's supposed to be from what you can collect. Yeah, right? That's the purpose. So you can't collect from this land that's in Israel.
No, it's really the Konos Chazal. So as long as somehow you fit the criteria, it's good enough.